First of all, thank you for showing up again on such short notice, and to the IJF. Thank you to Becky for a beautiful overview of the interconnected relationships here. Whether or not you're part of the Jewish community, we are all family in this room, okay? We are all looking to get loved ones out of Iran. And I know, as Elliot shared, just how much anxiety there is. Even though I'm an Ashkenazi Jew, Joe Goldman, hello, but I do have, through marriage, Persian family, Iranian family, and over the last 44 years, they've been trying to get loved ones out, and they still are. Even with success, there's still people left behind where they're trying to get out, and they're in the same process. So for those of you who have already submitted applications for loved ones that are in the pipeline, great. And know that there are literally employees at Hiaz who have family members in the same boat as you. So just please know how not alone you are. And I'm based here in LA. My focus is not the direct service side. That's why we have Sierra here. He's going to talk a little more technical, get more technical with you. But you know, my goal here is engaging the Jewish community and the pro-refugee community at large. As a reminder, you know, for Hiaz, we are now global. We are in 23 countries across 5 continents, doing this work on behalf of the Jewish people around the world, but helping refugees, asylum seekers, and other forcibly displaced people of all backgrounds. This is very much a core of who we are as an organization, and it just means so much to us, especially for me as an Angelino and as someone who has extended family trying to come from Iran, that this program is finally restarting. And one last point here, no matter what happens with the craziness in Washington, if for any application that gets in by September 15th, they're in the pipeline, assuming approval, and they can move here as they go through the pipeline slowly, regardless of what happens. So whatever happens in the new federal fiscal year, that's another story that we will all be updating you on. And the other piece here is that we are opening a second country office in the EU to expedite these cases. Because right now you're only seeing a few dozen cases coming out of Iran at a time. That is far too slow for people who have been waiting for too long. And so our colleagues are opening another office in the EU explicitly for Lautenberg cases. So instead of having it be 20 people a month, you know, and a few hundred people a year, maybe we can have 1,800 people a year. And that's a really big difference, especially for LA, where 70 to 80% of these people in the pipeline are going to come right here. So it's very exciting. I'm really, really thrilled that you're here. And now I'm going to turn it over to Sierra Miller, who flew in from DC to walk us through what this process looks like. And for the Q&A, unless Elliot did anything else?
All I want to say is, if I may, while most of the program has been in English, during the Q&A, feel free to ask questions in Farsi. We will translate.
Thank you. Yes, so there will be Farsi translations available for Q&A, and I will also participate in that with Sierra to make sure you cover all of our bases. So with that, I'm going to man the computer and let Sierra take it away. Thank you.
Hello everybody, thank you so much for being here. We know that this is close to your hearts and it is something that's been going on for some years, and we're happy to be giving some information today on the restart of the program. So the agenda for today is I'm going to be defining the Iranian Lautenberg program for you all. I'm going to go over who is eligible to apply, the process of applying, and then the process for your family members as they are being resettled. So as you probably all already know, the Iranian Lautenberg program allows for U.S. ties, so people living in the United States who are filing for their families, to file a refugee information form. This is also known as a RIF. These applications are to support your friends and family to go through the U.S. refugee admission program. As has been mentioned a few times today, the program does need to be renewed by Congress each year, and that is why we have a very strict deadline of September 15th, because we want as many people in the pipeline as possible. Because once they're in the pipeline, they will eventually be coming to the United States, no matter what. Oh, yeah. Sorry about that. All right. So, a U.S. Thai, to be eligible, must legally reside in the United States. This can be any legal status, including a refugee, asylee, or a U.S. citizen. You need to be a friend or any degree of relative to apply for this person that is living in Iran. There are also filing limits that you must adhere to, which I will go over later on. And you must also live within 100 miles of the resettlement office that you are working with. In this example, you have to be living within 100 miles of JFCS Long Beach. Next, I'm going to go over the applicant's eligibility. In order to apply for this program, your family or friend must be living in Iran and have Iranian citizenship. They also must be one of the 5 religious minorities of Baha'i, Christian, Jewish, Mandan, or Zoroastrian. The principal applicant, so the person that you are applying for, your friend or your family, must be at least 18 years old, and you can add on their spouses or their children. I briefly mentioned earlier about filing limits. You can actually enter an unlimited amount of refugee information forms for your immediate family members. So these can be people that are in Iran, that are your spouses, parents, children, or your siblings. On the other side, you can only have up to 2 applications in the pipeline for friends, or people who are not directly your family members, so people like cousins, aunts. You can only have up to 2 refugee information forms filing at the same time. So next I'm going to go over the potential responsibilities that you as a U.S. Thai might be asked to do once your family member makes it to the United States. So when they are being processed and ready to be flown over to Austria or one of the new EU sites, we will be reaching out to you, the U.S. Thai, to ask for a care and maintenance fund. What this care and maintenance fund does is it supports your family or friend that is in Austria or the other 2 countries, and it will support them with their living expenses. This tends to be about $3,000 per person. Once your family member is ready to leave the EU and come to the United States, the resettlement agency will be meeting with you to discuss what you're willing to do to help assist your family in integrating into the United States. These can be things such as picking them up from the airport, giving them temporary housing until they can find another source of housing. You can help them enroll children in school or transport them to different programs that are provided while they're resettling, such as cultural orientation or English language classes. So, if you're interested in these newer programs, some information or entering a new application, some information that I'm going to need from you and your family members is for you, the U.S. Thai. All I will need is your address and contact information, such as phone number and email. And then I just need some proof of your legal status in the United States. From the applicants in Iran, I will also need their address and contact information, so once it's time to process them, we are able to get in contact. A current passport, proof of military service if they are a male 18 years or older, and proof of their religious affiliation. We will also need their ID cards. There are some more information that I will need from you all eventually, but these are some of the major components that can take some time to get together. Once these documents are ready, they will all must be in color, put into PDF form, and any documents that are in English must be translated by an official translator in Iran. So, all this technical stuff is fun, but you guys are probably very curious about the process itself. So, step number 1, as I discussed, was you, the U.S. Thai, will come into contact with an affiliate. In this case, it is Hiaz for us. We are supporting JFCS Long Beach. You will complete the refugee information form with a caseworker, and then they will eventually send it to a resettlement agency headquarters such as Hiaz. The resettlement agency then Resettlement Agency headquarters will then submit the RIF to the Refugee Support Center in Austria or the other potential new processing. Once their application has gone through and everything checks out and we make sure that all their documents are together and correct, the Refugee Support Center will ask for a care and maintenance fee, which I had discussed earlier. They will then submit the request for the D visa on behalf of the applicants to come to Austria or the other EU. So, next is the more fun part of when your family will begin to be processed. So again, the first step is they will get their D visa to come to Austria. The U.S. tie, or you guys, and the applicants will be called for an interview and travel will be booked for them to go to Austria. Applicants will then arrive to Austria and go through some cultural orientation of what it's like to live in the United States, what their resettlement and placement process will be like, and then we also go through the vetting process. The vetting process is basically background checks on these applicants and making sure that all the information we have is correct and up to date as much as possible. After all this is finally done, they will probably be in Austria or the potential new site for about 2 to 3 months, depending on if there are any complications. At best, it will be as quick as possible, about 2 months. And they will come to the United States and they will go through the reception and placement period. This reception and placement period is a time where the resettlement agency helps refugees go through their first 90 days within the United States and helps them get certain services to assist them in their living situation. All right, I know that was a lot to take in and very quick, but any questions?
Thank you so much. That was extremely informative, and I'll get to the questions in 1 second, but before I do, I also want to make the point that applications that are filed today, I want to manage expectations. Applications that are filed today or by September 15th, it does not mean that you're going to file the application and people are going to start coming out in 2 months, 3 months, 6 months. There is a significant pipeline. As Joe and Sierra both mentioned, there's another EU country that is going to be hopefully starting to host these people as they come out, and that will make things go quicker. What is important right now is to get people into the pipeline so that we don't lose the opportunity, because as they mentioned, once they're in the pipeline, they are guaranteed to go through the process. However long it takes, they're guaranteed to go through the process. So we don't want them to lose the opportunity to go through the process. I will also mention that while all of this intake is being done now on this short notice basis through Sierra's office and the Hiaz office, hopefully in the next few months we will have a more local intake ability and things can be done locally, but we need to get the Lautenberg amendment passed again. So with that, I'm going to ask a couple of questions that were posed to me from before for you to answer, and then we can turn it over to the audience. We received a number of inquiries from people who said that they had contacted Hiaz regarding the program, and they were told that the program was full. So I was wondering if you could talk about that.
Yes, so there is no limit on how many applications we can take. There is no such thing as the program being full. We continue to take them. The caveat to that is some resettlement agencies might have their books filled with all the appointments already. It's not necessarily the program is full, it might be the agency that you contacted has already filled up all of their slots for what they have decided for.
But contacting Hiaz, they will be able to be processed.
Yes, you will be able to be processed, and we will refer you to the correct agency for wherever it may be.
And we'll make available at the end of the email address again, so that people will contact Sierra directly to her staff.
Yes, definitely.
Another question was that many people have applied, but haven't received confirmation yet. These are people who have applied during the course of the past year or two. I believe that the reason for that could be, I know that there was a push at some point where there were people who were told, file the applications, they cannot be processed, but once the program starts again, we'll start processing.
Yes, correct. You already explained it all for me there.
And the last question I have before we turn it over is, there have been questions, and this is an issue that has been raised in the past within our community. People in Iran who are in the service of the military or the Revolutionary Guard or issues of that, understanding that while they are in their service, there is nothing that can be done. But before or after the service, is there a way to have them processed through this program?
Yes, definitely. That is a big portion of actually what we will be asking of you if you do have a male 18 or over on your case, is proof of their military service or if they were exempt from military service. If they are in the process of their service, unfortunately there isn't much we can do, but if it is before or after, they will be processed, no problem.
Really quickly, I'm just going to speak to, I'm so sorry. I just want, there's been one, you heard us talk about JSCS Long Beach. I just want to explain a little bit as to why we're talking about them, but also in general. Some of you may have filed cases with our partners, let's say International Rescue Committee, IRIS, IILA, a lot of these acronyms might sound familiar to you. And they are wonderful partner agencies. The State Department is rebuilding the refugee resettlement system, and Hiaz is very proud that we got approval with our partners at JSCS Long Beach. We are still ironing out all the wrinkles and figuring out all the details for how the Lockwood program is going to work. And so what we really want you to do in this case, if you already have, if you've been in touch with folks at other agencies, that's perfectly fine. But please, any of the inquiries for your cases, if you want with Hiaz to help you, is the iran.program@hiaz.org, which you will get also sent to you along with, we can make the PowerPoint available. So I just wanted to name that right then and there because I know it's confusing. You hear so many organizations, and in this case, let's just streamline it a little bit. So, thank you.
Go ahead, sir.
Thank you for hosting this and for providing information. My name is Rafi Anios, and the question regarding the deadline, is this just initiation of the application, or do you expect to have all the translation and documentation submitted like this?
So that is a great question. We know that September 15th is a very quick deadline to get everything in. What is really great about this program is that it is pretty flexible in that we can submit the refugee information form, but not necessarily all the documents at the same time. It will just be asked for later. So we can submit whatever you have at time by that time, and we can invest this thing temporarily. Yes. If you can't get it as much as you can, it makes the process a lot easier for your family once they're ready to download it.